Today is a special day. I'm getting to visit with two members of the Blu-ray Disc Association. The association is a voluntary membership group that was created to help advance the art of entertainment through technology. We're at the Panasonic Hollywood Labs in Los Angeles, California. We're here to get the inside scoop on the revolutionary new technology that's taking home entertainment to the next level. With us today is Ron Martin, Vice President and Director of Panasonic Hollywood Labs, and also one of the team members who helped create Ultra HD Blu-ray. Hi Ron, it's great to be here.
Hi Kristen, thanks for inviting me. This is terrific to be here with you.
I know you're passionate about great entertainment. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Part of being in Hollywood in the movie industry is all about imaging. What we did in the Blu-ray Disc Association is we got together a collection of content producers and publishers, i.e. the movie studios, technology companies that produce consumer electronics, televisions, players, sound systems, and information technology companies that provided the infrastructure for those systems to communicate, and developed these new formats that allow interoperability between content producers, distributors, and the consumer to enjoy a whole new generation of television and television viewing.
So let's talk about UHD, ultra high definition, and why it's so cool.
Ultra HD is 4 times the number of pixels than HD, but it's really the equivalent of 2 times the resolution, 2 times horizontal and 2 times vertical, the resolution. What that allows us to do is build televisions where now the panel disappears. When you scrutinize a 4K TV or an Ultra HD TV, you don't see the little square pixels with the little outlines around them. The panel, we want the panel to disappear. What that allows the consumer to do is scrutinize the image a little bit more. And when the consumer scrutinizes the image, they become more emotionally involved in the image. And with storytelling, with narrative and documentaries and the exciting places that we can take you with these images, if you don't really see the TV anymore, then you're more apt to become involved in the television itself, or in the experience itself, and the story that's being told. One of the things that we've been struggling with in television is what we call high dynamic range. We only have a certain amount of latitude in terms of brightness or contrast that tells the difference between what's black on the screen and what's white. In the blacks, that means that things get lost in the shadows. Sometimes this is a good storytelling thing because you can have things burst out of the blacks, but other times we lose significant amount of detail that happens to be in those blacks and those shadows that we want to preserve. At the other end of the spectrum, in the whites, you have this idea of this beautiful sunlit scene. The sun's going down over the ocean, there's reflections in the water, and the sun and the reflection in the sand and everything that's white in the scene is all the same level. There's no dynamics left to it. HDR solves that problem. It allows us to create a scene now where the sun is so bright you just want to squint at a little bit. The reflection in the water isn't as bright, but you can tell it's the brightness of the sun in the water. The sand is at a 3rd level, and maybe the characters or the objects on the beach are at a 4th level. It brings realism to scenery in the images. And again, realism suggests more emotional involvement in the scene itself. So we want to create this significant amount of emotional involvement in the scene by presenting this realism. High dynamic range allows us to do that.
So Ron, along with HDR, high dynamic range, there's something called wide color gamut, or WCG, that we'll see around. Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Color gamut is part of the television signal that essentially defines colors, the range of colors that can be captured and can be displayed. In some of the legacy systems, both analog and digital, we had a very limited color gamut, a limited range of colors that we could capture and display. This has been a frustration for filmmakers for a very long time because it means that oranges aren't quite really orange and tomatoes aren't really quite red, and there's certain limits to the colors that they have to make compromises with. Again, one of those barriers of the old TV system that we wanted to do away with is this idea of wide or extended color gamut that allows us to capture and reproduce colors the way they really are. The subtleties of orange and reds in a sunset, fruit, even faces. tend to kind of get compromised in some of the old legacy systems. And now we have the capability, both on the capture and display side, to really be precise in that extent of color range. This is one of my favorite rooms here because what we do is put these cameras through an evaluation process. What we find as we go through these evaluations of this equipment, that filmmaking really has to change a little bit. For example, in some scenes in a studio backlot, that there are chips on the paint because the buildings haven't been painted recently. In the old days, film and film grain would hide those defects. Now, the precision of the capture system is so clear, so crisp and intense that we actually need to go back and think about set design a little bit differently as well. That's the exciting part of Ultra HD TV, is this idea of accuracy and precision, finding every nuance of every color and making sure that we present it accurately.
That was great seeing the Panasonic lab. Ron has put me in touch with another influential Blu-ray Disc Association partner, Warner Brothers. So now we're at Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood, California with Ron Sanders, who is the president of Warner Brothers Home Entertainment Distribution. Ron, we're so excited to be here and so excited to have you on the show. Let's talk about Blu-ray, because we want to find out how we can get the best viewing experiences in our home.
So Blu-ray's been around about 10 years. It was the format that came after DVD, and it's the high definition version of DVD. DVD was standard definition, Blu-ray is high definition, so it's just better picture and sound than what came before it.
Why would Warner Brothers be so interested in Blu-ray?
Well, we're excited to present the consumer the best picture, the best sound that we can possibly get in the home. So with 4K televisions now broadly available, we have a new format for Blu-ray. It's 4K Ultra HD, 4K UHD, and we're excited to put movies out in this format because it's got much better picture and sound than what was available before. And with 4K UHD, it supports HDR, which is high dynamic range. A very exciting new aspect of what we can do is have a better picture in terms of the brightness and the contrasting between darks and lights, a broader color spectrum that the filmmakers can use to really pull out a rich color image that the consumer will really perceive when they see it on a 4K television. The new 4K UHD Blu-ray player will play the new version as well as Blu-rays, as well as DVDs, all the backward compatibility. So whatever the consumer has in their home will play on this new player as well. A DVD will look a little better on the 4K TV with that player. A Blu-ray will be up-resed, as you would say, to a little bit better picture and sound. But the best quality that you can get on it is to play the new 4K UHD version. So Mad Max Fury Road is a perfect example of how a filmmaker can take advantage of this new capability. With HDR, you can tell the fire coming out of the different instruments looks a lot brighter. The image is a better contrast between the lights and the darks. The colors are brighter than what's available before. So the filmmakers get very excited, and Mad Max particularly takes advantage of that when you look at the palette of the desert in the background with the bright colors coming out of the fire. That contrasting is almost 3D in its capability of bringing out that image to the consumer.
It really is, especially the fire. I think right here, it just jumped out, when I first saw it.
The other thing that's important to notice when you're buying a 4K television is that it's also enabled for HDR, for high dynamic range. So when you look for the image on the box, it's 4K UHD with high dynamic range. And that'll ensure you're getting all of the best picture and sound that's capable of delivering today in these new formats.
And that's what you want to look for also on the Blu-ray player when you buy it?
Exactly. And you'll see the logo on there, and our packaging for all the movies has the logo on there. So you're getting the best capability that you can get for the TV and the Blu-ray player that you bought. We've got about 30 movies available now from all of the studios. We'll have well over 100 movies available by the end of the year, by Christmas. So we're excited to get as many motion pictures as we can out in this format.
Ron, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed having you on.
It was our pleasure. Thanks so much.